Ezreal's priority, what will happen is when Ruler gets on the stage and plays Ezreal, suddenly people will be like, wow, this champ's busted. But we'll see. That's for another time.
A tale as old as time, my friend. Everyone convinced they can play a champion because they see someone just so casually dominate on stage with it. Very rarely actually the case. Fans for now, nothing too crazy. Poppy, Renekton, Jax, a lot of top lane focus, which does make a decent amount of sense. You heard again on the desk, discrepancy between the top laners, Kiaya and Robo. Robo had a surprisingly good series. Not a guy that I look at on this team outside of obviously the overwhelming positive fan sentiment in his favor. When you look at the carries of this team, it's much more about route, but maybe he can look to replicate some of his more impressive performances.
Yeah, I think Robo has some of that burger flip energy that you can sometimes see out of Adam as well. You know, the top laners who sometimes just go absolutely off and carry a game by themselves. Sometimes they let it get a little away from them. And I think the Renekton ban is interesting coming out of Kiaya because I think it's kind of saying, I think I have a deeper champion pool. I think Renekton is very, very powerful in the current meta. I know some people are not thrilled when they see it because there's just that lingering crocodile hatred for some reason. I personally think he's a very, very strong pick. But this time around, Xayah.
Yeah, Xayah, unsurprising. Question is, what is the option on the opposite side? Wouldn't be surprised to see Rakan at this point. You could wait on your AD, but since you're probably picking Kai'Sa anyway, just slam it. Rakan plus jungler would be my guess, since there's no rush to pick your support or your AD at this point.
Yeah, the Rakan takeaway feels like a must. We have seen a couple games now where people do not do it and are swiftly punished. Okay, unkillable Xayah and Rakan with absolutely free escapes.
You know, why would you let two strong characters be even stronger together? Why would you do that? This doesn't make any sense.
You maybe didn't want to win that game.
That's fair. You never know.
Sometimes you're just passing on the wins.
We talk a lot in competition about how both sides want to win. We rarely talk about the...
Like, how certain are you of that
how
statement?
Certain are you?
When
Am
you
I
make that
sure?
statement, that's an assumption.
Don't you just wake up sometimes and go, I want to lose? Based on solo queue, I would guess that a lot of League of Legends players do wake up and say that to themselves. But maybe that's overly pessimistic for now.
The Doomer cast checking in.
Yeah, the absolute nihilism. The cast. Nothing matters.
Yeah, you can pick that, or you could just like not.
Or you could just not.
You could go to bed.
You could just not lock in a champion and get kicked out and have to wait for 6 minutes.
Get out of Korea, go home, lay down.
Anyway. Yeah, so Kai'Sa Rakan, as expected, responding with jungle support on the opposite side. Again, Nautilus, Lee Sin, pretty standard. Lee Sin, a champion who, as always in the history of Lee Sin, can be pretty feast or famine. I'm concerned a bit for Croc because, again, feels like one of the more unreliable components of the Loud formula, but a champion who, if you do show up, if you do pop off, can obviously be game-defining.
He's a big vibe champion. I think if you're confident playing well, you can style on people, and Levi has played the Lee Sin as well a couple times, so maybe also a bit of a takeaway there. The jungle meta feels a little in flux. I think people know Maokai is strong, and you have...
No. Continue your point.
Okay.
I held up my hands like I was going to say something because I have a follow-up to your statement. Please
okay, so I was just going to say, it feels like the power rankings might flip around in the future. I think Lee Sin can be strong. Jarvan is you know, one of these pick ban champions, but now seems to be dropping in priority as the early stages have progressed. Are you going to lean more to the skirmishy ADs or just fall back to tanks like Sejuani and Rel and Maokai in the future? It doesn't seem clear to me quite yet.
Yeah, and I will say that historically, at least from my memory, jungle is often the fakest champion pool in plans. We see a lot of creativity there. We see a lot of left hooks, a lot of things coming out of nowhere that disappear entirely once we head to Swiss or groups, obviously in the past. So wouldn't be surprised to see drastic changes as we do kind of step up to that higher level of competition. But for now, Lee Sin has looked solid. J4, the other big one, not surprised to see it banned away. The Spear of Shojin build, dumb.
Feels really good. I played it yesterday in our game.
Just endlessly EQing. Should he have EQ'd out at some point into the
turbo? We don't talk about that play.
No. He didn't want to. He just kept EQing, just forward, endlessly. Brain off. So you play J4, and it's damn strong. If you haven't played it, haven't tried it out yourself, even on 1320, get out there and do it. Live your best life. But Nico going to get banned away as well. Mid lane focus here. Olaf, I guess, to shut down a potential option into the Cassante.
Yeah, Robo played a fair amount of Olaf at MSI as well. It was one of his better performing champions. Him and Broken Blade were making that thing look disgusting in plans of MSI. So maybe a little bit of a scar tissue from that series that GAM had against Loud back in the day.
Yeah, and I think if you are GAM and you can kind of, maybe cut out some of these crazy variables, Kiaya is overall the player that you would favor in the top lane 1v1. So take away kind of the crazier options. Take away the champions who can disrupt the status quo. Olaf is one of them. Vi also going to hit the bench. So really just trying to limit reliable engage options for Levi.
Don't worry, there's more in the tank.
Oh, man. All right, Nocturne going in. against his eye is always going to be a bit tricky. I like having the Nocturne, the Kaisa together. Nocturne obviously lacks immediate reliable CC to set the Kaisa up, but when you have a Rakan as well, it's going to be tough for Riot to play the game, and Riot was the standout player, bar none. Very clear to anyone watching the game, this is the guy that you want to shut down, and now GAM certainly have the tools to do it.
Yeah, he has the first pentakill of Worlds, already at the 3+. Everyone is crying if they didn't select that for their pick'ems. And the Levi Nocturne is one of the greatest games of League of Legends ever played. If you go back to, I think it was like Season 6 when he busted out the like super fast clear.
Oh no! So that was we were in Wuhan, and it was I want to say 2017.
2017.
It was Levi, correct?
Yeah,
he was level 6. Everyone else on the map was level 4
or 5.
Bot lane wandered in with Galio to help him clear.
Big mistake.
Wild times. That was a very fun era for GAM. That was the initial rise of GAM.
Yeah,
a lot of those crazy strategies.
And the VCS as a whole was this region that was unbelievably bloodthirsty, that was creative, and had the mechanical skill to pull those off. Yep. I think if they ever make a League of Legends, like Hall of Fame history, like greatest moments of LoL Esports, that game needs to be in there as one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly impressed by the innovation that can come out of the VCS. I don't think we're getting quite as much of it. Tristana would have been interesting. Tristana Kaisa, obviously the premier double AD composition, was hit pretty heavily coming into Worlds, just between nerfs on both champions, as well as Ivern getting taken down a peg a little bit. But now instead we have the Victor, who I'm going to be honest, doesn't fit into this composition at all. Victor says, please come to me. Everyone else on GAM says, let's get in there. So a bit awkward and Loud. I think a much more stable, much more balanced composition in terms of what they want to be doing.
I think it might be the first Victor of Worlds as well, if I'm not mistaken. I missed one, but I think this is the first time we've seen him locked in. And he is a little bit lower down the priority list of control mages that most people see. Orianna taken off the table, but most people would assume you go Azir next.
Sure.
You can play Azir into Ahri, maybe Victor, slightly better individual matchup. But like you said, the mid to late game team fighting for the Victor is going to consist of press R and put it on the target that we're trying to kill and hope it goes forward enough, because you do not have the easiest tools to follow up on Nocturne, Cassante, Rakan, Kaisa.
And if you are in a situation where people do come into you as Victor, Victor is really fantastic. When you're ahead, he often feels sort of like this almost bruisery mage, given how many little movement speed steroids, the shielding that you get coming in from the Q. He can be very powerful. It's just so rarely in pro play do we see that situation take place. There are 3 melee champions on the enemy team. There is a world where the Victor can pop off, but we're just going to have to see what it does. In the meantime, on the opposite side, you've got great setup. It's not a Lizaya. You know what you're getting. It's Ahri in the mid game with Charms alongside a Lee Sin. Early to mid game is going to be explosive. Is it going to be enough, though? Because once this Nocturne gets online, it's something we're going to have to keep track of. Remember, this is do or die series. We're going to move ahead to a best of 5 tomorrow. Does have the luxury of best of 3. Can't afford to lose a game, but want to come out swinging.
Elimination day, game 1. Loud versus GAM. I'm excited to see if they can pull it off. You can hear a lot of support, I think, for Loud, if I can understand that crowd chant.
Let's just, hold on. Yeah, is that Loud? Yeah, no, that's Loud.
Yep, definitely Loud. They show up. At MSI, the Brazilian crowd was going crazy behind us, bringing a ton of energy compared to when other regions were playing.
Yeah, and I will always respect that level of fandom. We're going to see for a brief moment on to spamming some voice lines. All right, no one. All right, what? Anybody? No? All right, no one's going to kill each other. And as a reminder, of course, if you want to earn exclusive Worlds 2023 like icons and emotes, you can log in and watch the games on lolesports.com. It's got some cool functionality, some stats on the side you can watch as well. So, cool platform. Get rewarded for watching on it. And now, as we look back in on the game, still no one has killed each other, which is a bit disappointing.
Shocking. Cowardly gameplay.
As a play-by-play, I look forward to one thing and one thing only, and it is teams fighting for very little reason.
I also agree, so I do not need to comment on anything. I just leave you to go. I'll go take a lap around the building. You handle this never-ending team fight.
Yeah. Instead, I guess we could talk about strategy.
Champions,
scaling. Lane matchups.
Yawn.
Big yawn. So, speaking of the strategy, curious to see if Levi does anything. Historically, when you look at Nocturne, obviously a champion that you're like, oh, power farm to 6. But if there is decent setup, which there is on the bottom side, and he has started on the top side, so he can clear top to bot, there is room for him to get in for early ganks. Champion does a lot of damage. That said, kind of just expecting a relatively chill early game from the side of GAM, whereas Croc is really the one who needs to try and get something done with this early game Lee Sin.
I think you're especially going to see a lot of focus out loud around the mid lane because it does feel like one of the more punishable ones on the enemy side. It's also where you have a lot of the best setup. Of course, you can make plays in any lane for Croc, and this is exactly what you want when you draft a Lee Sin, is you want to have an abundance of options. So if something goes crazy in the bot lane and someone loses flash, you can then punish that. It's very easy to follow up on, and it's a very good composition in that sense. And you do still have some assurances in your scaling with the Xayah. So I do like Loud's composition for GAM. We already kind of talked about some of the maybe different ideas that the comp can go for, but at the very least, like you said, there are a lot of short-range champions on Loud, so you can always just drop your EQ on top of where people are and just drop tons of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as we get into the later game fights, I'm curious to see what Robo is going to be able to do against these champions, because again, against a lot of these melee champions, if Aatrox is ahead, he can wreak havoc. It's a champion who I think is very strong. I expect to see more of. Worlds is a nice little invade here. Loud leveraging their early bot lane priority, power that Xayah wave clear, to come in and contest Levi on the objective. Lee Sin coming in as well. Spell Shield already used. Nice sidestep comes in from Levi. Surely he's going to have to just flash out here. For taking his time on the wander out. Is he just going to accept his fate? Rakan now coming in. Is he going to try to get out without flash? Now he's finally flashing to safety. The patience pays off. I think if he flashes over the wall, it's easy for Croc to flash follow and confirm the kill anyway. So very good patience coming in from Lenny.
Yeah, it would have been a big panic flash if you just go over the wall, like you said, easy to fall. So it takes a little bit of greedy time to kite back the other way, and he was able to do that without burning other sums from his bot lane. I was worried that was going to be one of those spillover plays where you're like, save me, and everyone commits everything, saving Private Ryan, then suddenly Pallet's losing his flash and stuff like that. But they're able to get out.
Sort of who saves the saver sort of situation. Pallet will back away. Goes down for route. Says as well. Ignite down. So they are giving up some of those summoners to come move in and contest. It does still slow Levi's clear down, but because Lee Sin is in the area as well, ultimately not too bad for GAM.
And I like the aggression out of Loud level 1 or level 3. Excuse me. This is exactly what we were hoping to see when we talk about some of the playmaking that they have. Burn flashes, get in there. Levi has not been too slowed down with this clear. Did have to leave up that bot side of the jungle, but it was not actually stolen away. So you can eventually maybe get down there, pick those camps up. Just went to the top side for now. And of course, you do want to hold down a Nocturne if possible.
Yeah. And I think the other big thing, anytime you have these level 6 champions with globals or semi-globals, one of the big things that casters, you'll hear casters talk about, or teams talk about, is the importance of those first couple ults. It's the same story with Twisted Fate. It was the same story with Pantheon, although less so last time we saw him in the meta. But those first ults are really impactful because the cooldown is so damn long. If you don't get something out of it, this ult that you worked to for so much of the early game, amounting to nothing, just makes the champion feel completely worthless. So again, tracking the Nocturne, tracking that level 6, but Loud get lane prio again, this time knowing that they are safe to do so, walk in, they take the camp away. So now Nocturne, a camp behind with no new camp to be replaced. We'll have to invade if he wants to get some of that back.
The positive side of this for GAM is that Kiaya has known where Croc is this entire time and seems to have been able to use that to get a lane advantage.
Trading his health for routes overall could be positive, but again, there's just not much of an angle here to get anything done on the bottom side as of yet.
Nope, just trying to punish Slater over and over. That was one of the big areas that Loud got some advantages in their first matchup. Punishing Slater, who had a very off series, hopefully going to have a better one this time around, because people might not remember from day one, GAM got a Baron, GAM should have won that game, and then they got really greedy with it, pushing in on the bot side of the map where it got turned around. So hopefully they have learned their lesson and will come with a little bit more reserve play if they do get big advantages.
Yeah, and I will say for the VCS as a whole, it was a wild playoff run. I think Goldberg has already mentioned Team Secret, but there were so many games in their playoffs that were decided by big Baron flips, ultimately. And that's something that's going to count against them, is now Robo forced to flash out to safety. Excellent play from Kiaya thus far. Howdy. Trying to get out, trying to sidestep, but they're just taking their time. Wait for the charm. Easiest first blood setup ever. Victor just accepting, getting walked down slowly but surely.
Yeah, Tinone's just dashing at his face, forcing him to make a play, and eventually the flash comes out trying to predict the charm that Tinone's never threw until it was too late. And using that mobility to hop on top of him, the wave was not in a good spot. The fact that you could dash 3 times and still not be under the enemy turret means that Gaddy might have been a little too far pushed forward.
Yeah. And that's frustrating. Obviously, you just want to get as much of that early CS as possible, as well as, I mean, honestly, hopefully an assist or two, just to snowball, just to get those early Victor augments. So falling behind early, again, it's a control mage. You know it's fine. It's okay if it falls behind a little bit, but going to make it that much harder for GAM to really do anything meaningful in bigger fights, and certainly going to affect a potential 3v3 topside. Herald, 1 minute and 4 seconds. counting down until that will be up. And right now, with the pressure that Loud have on the map, it should be easy pickings unless GAM want to try and force the 3v3.
Yeah, we'll see how they want to do it here. Crashing a wave right now, Loud, means that they can get a little bit of chip damage down this turret, get your first couple plays, then maybe get a reset off and move to the Herald. See where they want to go around the map. I gotta say, Kiaya did get that flash on the top side, so it's not all true for GAM right now. They do have one part of the map that is at least winning around 15-ish CS. It's been bouncing around for Kiaya. But now Croc wants to get involved with the pink ward that they dropped down, so they know where Levi is and what he's doing exactly.
Levi now sees the Lee Sin in his jungle. Pullback gonna come through. Now the Q2, Q3, big damage, and again, clean and simple. Loud, just walking into these kills. They're not burning flashes. They're not getting over aggressive. They're not wasting cooldowns. They're just making it happen in the enemy jungle.
And I got to give credit to Robo there. He started that play off about a minute and a half ahead of time, running to the enemy jungle, dropping a pink ward down so they knew exactly when and where Levi was. That ward was not swept out. You can still see it there in that part of the map. And very easy to go ahead and now combo that with that Rift Herald, though Kiaya is trying to do his best to stop it.
Checking in on the experience, Levi, the one that you need to watch. He has been delayed from approaching level 6 at this stage. Once he gets that, maybe they have the tools to contest, but there are no camps here for him to take. This is a spectator Rift Herald. Levi's in the area. He's clearing out the vision. GAM came to watch for a minute, just so Loud could show them how it's done, but
yeah,
sadly,
we see
there's
you,
no
bro.
reason.
Nah, one of those plays.
It's a difficult situation. If you go bot side, you're 100% conceding it. You think maybe if they fumble something, we can make a play, but there's no play to be had. And for now, Loud playing much cleaner in the early game. They are leveraging the priority that they have in lanes. They managed to make plays despite a losing top side, but now the counter punch coming in from GAM, the flash out from Nautilus is good.
Oh.
And ultimately, first Nocturne ult traded for a Nautilus flash is a damn good deal for Loud.
And Levi actually burned his flash there as well. Looked like he was trying to prediction flash over the wall to get the fear on Nautilus, or was maybe trying to flash to the other side of the Nautilus for the fear to push him further up the lane. Either way, though, the fear was not that close to going off. Nautilus gets to the wall, gets the flash out. So Zeosh not just eating Levi's ultimate there, but getting his flash out as well. And like you said, you hear casters talk about it. I'm going to do exactly that. You want?
Tell me, Mark, when you have a global or semi-global champion, Dracos,
You want it to go well. It's a long cooldown on that ultimate. And now he's going to have to wait for it to come back up before he can do anything.
And often in the past when Nocturne was popular, you would see them rush Lucidity boots just so they could have it up before their first ult for that nice chunk of ability haste. Levi has no such luxury. It's going to be a year, 2 years maybe. He'll have children. They'll be working their way into preschool by the time we see another ult. Maybe even kindergarten. It's going to be quite some time before we see that ultimate up and available. As Board Drinker coming out for Lee Sin on the opposite side. This is bad. Again, it's only a 1.3k gold difference at this stage of the game, but GAM can't do anything.
No, not really. Like, maybe you can go to Kiaya's lane and get some advantage there. And it is, of course, nice to have your Cassante winning, you know, but he's not going to be as powerful as Route, who's just free farming the bot lane, grabbing turret plates just for existing and having shoved, basically, and winning lane phase against Slater for the second series in a row.
Slater has to be careful here. Chaos going in the hook. Now 10 ounces with the follow-up. Dash out to safety. Fancy. Oh, 10 ounce! Taking down Slater. It must be Rain and Blood on the bottom side. Caught next on the menu, but he manages to get down a nice gravity field. Locking up 3. Good damage back onto Tino's. Trying slowly but surely to cut through the R, and he's going to get him. The max range death laser. He might be a little early on the spell sheet. It might not matter, however. He's trying to use him as a hook out to safety. Croc committing to the play. He's got the War Drinkers available as well. He wants to finish it, but again, the gravity field. Cotty, W after W. He's taking his time, 1.5 seconds, but he's got all the time he needs. They're stunned every single time. Robo gonna get some plates back, but nice counterpunch from GAM.
Making it work. We were doubting the Victor a little bit in the draft if it was going to come through, and if there's a turret dive that you can teleport into and help turn around, that's going to come up big. Getting those 2 kills, he is a very strong scaling champion who might be able to stuff these dives from Loud if they keep coming in. That was a nice turnaround there. Did cost a lot of resources, though, out of GAM, giving Robo some free time to catch up in the top side of the map. Still a pretty net even play at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's little moments like that that we need to see more of, at least punishing some of the more aggressive plays from Loud. Respect to Loud for trying to snowball their advantage, and clean play initially from Tinones, but GAM making sure to punish, making sure that it just doesn't get too out of control. If you do not get those counter kills there, I think the entire game just starts to fall apart. We're only 12 minutes in. Plates are still on the table, and I just feel like any mistakes you make as GAM are going to be incredibly costly.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things when looking at professional League of Legends is for the backbreaker play, the thing that fully breaks the game open, where you can no longer contest anything except for when people make a big mistake. It would be the Dame Aelin to Lororican backbreaker. Yeah, that was one of those
the real
plays.
ones who get that reference.
Yeah, you're a real one. That was one of those plays where if you don't get those cleanup kills and you just dive the bot lane, get a bunch of kills, and then break turret bot lane completely open, suddenly GAM has no place to make the rest of the map. And the fact that the Victor does get 2 kills keeps them somewhat relevant in this game, though still on the back foot.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be important to track to see how GAM set up, if they can set up around these objectives, because that's when Victor's going to feel powerful. If they're wandering into objectives late, they're not going to be able to do a lot. Herald is going to charge here. Some nice money to have. Ulti coming out. We saw this play just a couple minutes ago. Robo once again able to make it out to safety. Pull back. Kiaya now going over for the follow-up. Knocks him down. The desk called it out. We see it come to life on the top side. Kiaya finding the solo kill.
Yeah, Robo thought he was out, had his flash up, would have needed to flash the Q3 to get enough distance. That knockback keeping him in range for Kiaya to just go over the wall. Also had his flash. That's why you would need to flash the Q3 to get that extra distance. Not able to get it done, but Robo doing top lane things. Losing lane, winning game. We're chilling, absorbing pressure as we get the dragon.
Yeah. Ooh, this is a play we got to take a look back at. Watch Tinones here. This is what's sick nasty. Oosh!
The Ahri flash forward pullback on Q. Second part of it, very nice. And here, kind of caught him in a rock and a hard place. He could have ran down, I thought, to get further away from Victor's gravity field. It does scale on speed based off distance from Victor, and so if you ran south there, but then he would be just running into the waiting arms of the Cassante. Chose not to do that, and almost saved Levi there. Not able to get it done. Back to live.
Lockup coming in. How it locked up. They've got too much damage, but Rakan got a stopwatch. Is going to be enough. He is able to make it out to safety. Well played by Pal to survive. Forced to burn an important cooldown. Manages to walk away with his life. That said, the tower, are they going to have enough tools to protect it? And again, we're in a situation where Kiaya forced to come bot lane to protect the play, and Robo, the one who benefits. Robo, the one who's going to get some time alone on the top side with this tower.
Yeah, you look at the CSD at 14, suddenly, hey, pretty even lane phase, guys. Look at the stats, don't look at the context. Robo went mostly even, 1 death, whatever, that happens. Otherwise, he also had that great pink ward.
Look, man, MasterCard lane economy snapshot. Bam, this is the moment where we took the picture. Tiny lane gap,
Therefore,
220 gold. This is bam.
The beauty of a snapshot.
That's all we care about.
Yep.
It's like the post-game screen where your AD carry is 9-1, despite the fact that they were 0-0-0 for 30 minutes. Doesn't matter. Carried the game.
They should have been team fights.
Yeah.
No, just a bit of a rough game for Robo, but the rest of Loud looking incredible. The mid and bot side very much going in their favor. And we were hyping up Route for a reason. He is the primary carry for this team. They know it. They're sending a lot of resources down there to help him out. You can see a lot of the plays keyed off the fact that they're getting pushed in the bot side of the map. Then Croc invades, then they spill over down to the bot turret for those dives. Do not end up breaking that turret, though. It is actually Robo who, because there's so much pressure down the bot side that GAM has to respond to, Robo is actually able to just take top turret for free.
Yeah. And now, Tinone's going to be able to grab this tower. Top turret down, obviously from the side of Loud, but they might fish for the dive here onto Robo. Again, trying to punish one of the weaker sides of the map. Nocturnal coming in, Ignite already ticking. Early Ignite just to make sure there's no Aatrox healing, but out he goes! World Ender out to safety. There's no wave there really either to play around the tower, so they're going to try to push for more. But now Cassante, can he hold on? Slater off in the area. Croc getting over aggressive, a kickback. Oh, he's going, trying to finish the job. Croc, no! Oh, his mind was telling him no, but his body was saying yes, 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 and all of Loud saying no, no, no. That play did not work out. Little Lee syndrome costing him here as Tinones finally dashed down to safety. Charm, he's got a bit more movement to come through, but the play will fizzle. Kanye on the top side will finally break the tower.
Yo, your reference game is sick today.
Been trapped in a hotel room for 3 days, sick. Let me out.
He's been cooking for 3 days, finally has some bars to drop. That was the play, again, saving GAM's time, because they just invested so many resources into the top side that failed. Then Loud is saying, okay, great. 3 members on the top side. Kiaya is trying to stop this wave from getting in. He's trying to protect his mid turret. Let's go ahead and kill him for it. And they almost get it. They almost land this, but after the damage, nicely timed flash out of Slater. I'll give him that. Sometimes you flash slightly too early and the Lee Sin Q follows you post flash, but he was able to get away from the damage after the Q2 connects. Then the people from the top side, because that play took so long to develop, are able to get down and show up and actually help out around the mid lane. And they get a ton of kills back. They're able to close that gold gap almost to just around 600 here.
TB coming in from Kadi. GAM looking to further cement their advantage after that positive play. Again, the gold, very small difference at this stage of the game. Robo stepping forward. Infernal Chain's going to be avoided. Yeah, strong. Just going to step in, pull the Lee Sin back. They're going to try to one-shot the jungler as quickly as possible. Croc had a fantastic early game. But now he's just getting knocked down. Pallet flash out to safety. He's safe for now. Robo getting pulled back. Tino's waiting over the wall. They can't quite find the angle. Nocturne going in. Feathers are going to fly. Levi needs to be flawless with spell shield timing, but he's not even going to get the opportunity. Levi finding one another coming through. Robo getting pulled over the wall by Kiaya in the fights. GAM is monstering Loud.
They have finally grabbed a gold lead back at that Rift Herald fight. GAM take the lead in the game. They have pressure on the tail end of that, starting their scaling online. Caddy up to 4-1-1, but the start of this play, the fact that he's zoning the bot side from being able to collapse, so it's a 4v3, and Kiaya says, great, I'm charging in there. He gets the double flip back on Q3, allowing Croc to be the first target that they melt. Finally, the bot lane of Loud has caught up here, but the fight's already over, and Caddy just continues to threaten the backside of the fight. Robo has some heroics here. He starts kind of getting those resets that you see an Aatrox do. His health bar shoots right back up there, but just too little too late. Kiaya is still able to find the shutdown afterwards. And again, like you said, Levi on the other side of the fight, finishing off that back line.
Yeah, and if you looked at the damage during that fight, about 3.6k Kadi over the course of the fight, Kiaya at 2.6. Just crazy. Goal difference over time, obviously telling us the story of this game. Powered by AWS. Right, I'm going to be honest. I was ready to just apologize to Croc. I said I was skeptical about his Lee Sin, and it was so good. And I just feel like that play on the mid lane, he got ahead of himself. And you talked about the backbreaker play. And I think that into that fight we just saw was the backbreaker play. Except Croc broke his own back. It's like he just jumped onto the other guy's knee.
Or it's like when you have the guy right over the head and they do that weird spin thing down and they flip it around, suddenly you're flipping the other guy on his back.
I don't know what that's called. I haven't watched enough WWE. Someone else can let us know.
Stress is somewhere watching
Stress,
this.
yeah, if you're watching, let us know. But that sucks for Loud because again, I felt like their early game was pretty immaculate this game.
Yeah.
Pressure across the board, clean ganks, simple plays, and then they tried to just get a little too fancy in the mid lane, gave away a bunch of kills, and then GAM came right back into it. And that's the thing about these VCS teams, you can't give them an inch. They will always go for the mile.
They are down to scrap, and if you go for a dive, they're going to meet you there. They're going to contest that play. You can see time and time again, GAM are submitting resources. They're not the go to the other side of the map team. There are some teams, when they fall behind, they start trading objectives, they try and scale, they try and stay relevant. GAM, and generally speaking in the VCS, they are the scraps. They're ready to go, oh, you're going bot, we're going bot. We're going to cover that dive. And it puts a burden of mechanical execution on you to actually convert on those plays. And should you come up short, they will punish you. And that's how they got back in this game. They contested on the bot side, they kept it close. Mid lane, they finally flipped it around. Then here at the Rift Herald fight, third fight in a row, that GAM was able to come out on top. And Loud's comp is admittedly kind of difficult to play. If you're not landing charms, if you're not landing the kickbacks from Croc, if you're getting split in these fights and not assassinating someone out the gate, you're going to do less damage than GAM's composition, just fighting front to back kind of, and with their backline flying in.
Yeah, and it's going to be tricky, because ultimately, where are you using that Lee Sin kick? You know, who are you kicking? Where are you going to find that angle and that opportunity? It's difficult to find a meaningful impact. And Croc, once again, caught out here. Herald has been utilized. Ignite now ticking, just barely able to heal up. Nocturne ult coming in, but won't be able to find a target. Looks like he dropped out of vision just in time. Pal stepping forward, just maybe hoping to catch Croc out. Of course, Lee Sin lifesteal buffed coming into World, so was able to heal up pretty quickly on the camp there. But mid lane tower broken open, and this is where the game starts to get a lot easier for GAM. Tino's fishing for these picks, and I think this is what Loud have to do to try to find a way back in.
Yeah, I like Loud stepping forward here with the amount of resources that were kind of used to find the kill onto Croc. Multiple ultimates down, 4 of them, and not finding that kill gives Loud space to finally step back forward, get involved, start clearing out this vision. But the way that they're going to win this game is most likely through pickoffs, which means you're going to need to find avenues that are not warded out by the enemy team to find those backline targets like you're saying. You're probably trying to kick the Kaisa or the Victor if you can ever find them without the rest of the team around them. Go for them. If it's straight team fighting, if you're just meeting it up at objectives, it's probably going to be GAM favored.
Certainly is. And I think this puts even more pressure onto the players featured today in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz, Route and Slater. You know, for Slater, I think his life is easy now, because in the laning phase, Route absolutely was getting the better of him. If that had continued, you would expect the Xayah to take over fights, no question. But Slater, as much as he's the focus, the center of attention, the rest of the team have now made his life so easy because he doesn't have to be the superstar in fights. Yeah, he just gets to leap into the backline, try and one-shot an Ari, maybe a Zaya, or just hit frontline. He's going to be chilling.
He is chilling, and you can see the Quick Blades Kraken Slayer build. There's been a lot of debate about the right Kai'Sa build. She's a champion that can kind of build anything, but of course, that doesn't mean it's optimal.
Sure.
And in this game, there's not a ton of frontline to punch through. Robo is sort of the tankiest, but that's more through like drain tanking than resists or anything like that.
Yeah.
But was behind in the game, and so did not go for the lethality build, which I think I personally like a lot. If you're ahead or there's not that many tank champions, go in there, blow people up, especially with this kind of composition. I think it would have made a lot of sense. But being more DPS oriented here this time around, more front to back, kind of working with the Victor kind of identity.
Yeah, I think I like the adaptation coming in. Obviously, Quick Blades Kraken Slayer can be strong overall, but the TP behind here. GAM looking to further press their advantage. A second TP now coming in. Nocturne to sow a little bit of chaos. Rakan immediately going in, but the feathers fly up, and so far the disengages come through. Caddy immediately going to try to flashback out from round. The entire team forced to disengage. It is Robo versus the world, and Robo's doing all right thus far. Kicked over the wall. Croc now re-engaged coming in. Tinones, one more charge left on the dash. Needs to get the kill, needs to get the resets. Robo on the backside, maybe he can do it. Tinones going forward, wants to find the kill, but again, despite all their efforts, Loud cannot find the angle, and it is all falling apart. They managed to get out, but they try to commit again. They try to turn it back in their favor. And at the end of the day, GAM stopped them in their tracks and set their sights on the Baron.
GAM brute forced that fight, multiple teleports, the Nocturne ultimate, and honestly, Loud did a great job kiting that out. And there was a moment here where, again, we talk about the mechanical barrier of execution of this composition came up just short. Here, excellent ult out of Route to stay there, make sure he doesn't get charmed up by the Rakan. They managed to kite this one out. Route's threatening the backside. Here, Kati is going to get kicked right as Tinones dashes in with his Everfrost. And the miss of damage there, the fact that they were not able to actually just land that combination of the Lee Sin Ahri together to get that kill, to get the reset, to then charge through the rest of the fight and potentially meet up with Robo, who was on that backside that entire time. If you get that first kill on Kati, you can probably reset most through the fight and actually maybe win it, or at the very least, do enough damage to stop the Baron going down. That does not happen. GAM is now completely in control of this game.
And it's wild to see how quickly this game has turned around and how well GAM are now playing with the lead. Because again, the early game was rough. This Nocturne looked pretty useless, but now is looking very relevant in these fights. Especially when Loud have to burn so many cooldowns just to get away from the initial engage. It's kind of a field day for Levi once he sees these immobile carries, cooldown-less. And just run in. Blue Trinket going to spot out the dragon happening. Not a lot to be done here, but again, Loud were able to grab a dragon early in the game, so it is not sole point. Kiaya stepping up pretty fearlessly. Good poke coming through here, but GAM trying to bully their way back into mid lane, just take control of this wave. Off on the flank is Pallet, is Levi. Ult's available. And they fish for the fight here. Tinones walking out, marking the flank, spotting it, but Tinones
Didn't see him.
Didn't see him. Clean play around the vision, and instantly it just goes down. Flawless coming in from Slater there, as now the fight's going to continue. A bit of a slow siege here. The kick back, the knock-up going to deny it. It's going to stop it, everything again. Loud cannot find the angle in these fights. Route's still standing, but everyone else is falling down. Robo trying to buy space for the 80 carry. But Route's just not allowed to play the game. There is no room for the Zaya to maneuver. The featured matchup be damned, he does not matter. GAM breaking through, very likely to take at least an inhibitor. Will not be able to push for the win. It's just too early in the game.
Yeah, 15 seconds on death timer's not going to be able to get through both Nexus turrets afterwards. We'll see if they can even grab the inhibitor. Looks like they're going to back off for now after Route has healed up there. And Palo was in the flank wanting to go, but his ult was just seconds away from being up. And it took too long, so he abandons the position. And I think Tinones was just totally focused on mid lane, not even looking where his champion was going.
Can we see the vision here?
He's just walking right at him.
Yeah,
he's just not looking.
You said he just didn't see him. I thought there was a vision bug.
No, I mean like literally his
camera was
in mid lane.
And this is what's frustrating if you're a Loud fan, is this was almost a perfect early game, but the hands weren't good. The brain has been pretty good this entire game, but just these little mistakes everywhere, plaguing this game for Loud. This is not how you wanted to start the series.
Yeah, you can almost feel there's like this slight moment of hesitation out of Pallet being like, am I getting trolled?
Am I trolling?
Or
is he baiting me?
Yeah, like, is this a trick? Is there someone behind him? But no, as soon as that ultimate came up, Pallet was able to go flying in there. He's had a very good game, 0, 1, and 10. Had a rough lane phase, him and Slater. No doubt about it. There is something that they will need to keep an eye on going forward in this series. But at the very least, once they're out of lane phase, the two have looked monumentally better than the first time Loud and GAM squared off on day one.
Yeah. And right now, short of GAM throwing, which reminder, they did do the last time these two teams played. They threw a big gold lead. It's feeling like the GAM victory lap. Slow and steady, most certainly. Still need to play it well, but they have all the tools they need to end this game in their favor. And Loud don't have the tools to turn it back in their favor unless GAM misstep.
That's the painful thing about this is their tools were at the sharpest in the early game.
Yeah.
They were doing it pretty well, and then a couple just mechanical misplays over and over again leads to the point now where you're 7,000 gold down. They're starting to stack dragons on you. They got their first Baron, and now you're like,
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the finest Japanese steel blade. The greatest katana ever made. And you're like, so I hit him with the side of it, and you're like, no!
The blunt
no!
side. You're bludgeoning damage.
I just hit him right on the horizontal side where it's thickest. You're like, no, that is not how a sword
how you wield
works.
that weapon, sir.
Please stop.
No. Taking a look at itemization, I love the Anathema's chains.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of this item. It's just so frustrating. And when you identify that Route is the only late game damage on the side of Loud, as well as their best player, get this thing that makes it really annoying should your fear go off. And I love...
Also, double Abyssal, because your Victor is fed, is the greatest like high-five teamwork moment I've ever seen. Is it excessive? Arguably.
I was going to say yes.
Yes. Do you need two of the same aura for champions who don't really deal magic damage? No. Is that Victor going to burn through everyone on an enemy team despite building a kind of weird tanky hybrid build? Yeah.
I feel like somehow people finally realized what Abyssal Mask did.
It took so long. This item has been stupid for so... I just want to say, as a long-time Abyssal Mask enjoyer, it does not matter what I think. The fight now breaking out. Route just forced to retreat here. GAM bullying in, but again, Loud holding the line pretty well. Have enough major cooldowns been burned that they can re-engage? The answer is no, because they need Route's ulti to be safe in these exchanges.
Yeah, lost the Ghost, lost the ultimate. They burned a number of cooldowns peeling back. It was nicely peeled, but you get nothing for it. The enemy team, without Baron, is still grouping up and taking turrets in front of your face by threatening these kinds of engages. Of course, they did burn their own ultimates. You know, Pallet has to wait for his to come up and whatnot, but they're still buying space on the map. They're getting wars down. They're grabbing objectives. And now Baron spawning in 20 seconds. You can see them going for the reset a little slow, but they should be able to get back on the map in time. And in the meantime, Loud is having to chew through so much of this vision that was already placed down.
Yeah.
Loud not even able to walk up confidently to clear mid out as Kiaya alone contesting this wave. So won't even have enough mid prio to come and contest that vision. This should cost Kiaya his life, but Loud just aren't confident enough to pull the trigger here. So Kiaya is winning the extended play. Robo now forced away. Pallet going over the wall, debating if they want to re-engage. Robo chunked out with no TP available. GAM's pick for the litter, kind of. Take whatever objective they want. For now, it will be the Infernal. That does mean conceding some of their Baron vision, but they seem unaffected or unfazed by that problem.
Yeah, they have a lot of tools to get in quickly should the enemy team try to start that Baron in a trade situation. Obviously, Levi on Nocturne can fly across the map. Same thing for Slater on Kaisa. So you just have Pallet running, zoning a little bit there by himself. The enemy team, or the rest of the team, burns down the Baron, then collapse if they need to. So nice little use of their potentially global abilities if they need to use them.
Croc stepping up. There is some vision in the pit that is yet to be cleared by the side of GAM. Slater has Cleanse. Kadi has Azanias. It is very tough to start a fight and immediately win. You cannot just come up and sucker punch GAM. It is going to take some time. You're going to have to win the extended engage. And that's a situation where GAM are pretty heavily favored at this point, this kind of lead.
Pallet once again on flanking duty. Doing a good job trying to wheedle his way through the vision of Loud. Gonna get spot out on that pink board. He goes a little bit further forward. And this is the difficulty for Loud, is that GAM is not just gonna start the Baron and get super low and let you jump on top of them and murder them all. They're gonna hover around that area, try and get you to face check them, look for opportunities for Pallet to catch you off on the side while the rest of the team has pressed forward into that vision to make sure they have not actually started off that Baron, because they do have a very, very fast Baron team here for GAM. If you do give them alone time, they can melt through it.
Yeah, stepping forward. Immediately, they'll GAM pull the trigger. They try to find the angle. Levi on top of the back line. Everybody running. The entire team split. A beautiful pullback coming in from Kiaya. Croc now left all on his lone, so Pal going to get immediately kicked out. Croc buying a bit more space for his back line, but he's already down. Slater ults in, and Kiaya does not care, baby. Get the Casante copy pastas ready. This guy's making it happen, but Route desperately holding on, trying to fire back. Kiaya needs to be careful about stepping forward. Route, blast come through. GAM still have priority access to the Baron. Ultimately, 3 taken down 4-1, heavily in favor of GAM. Will be their Baron.
Nice play out of GAM there, and Kati continues to come up big. The Victor that we were doubting in the draft, showing that he knows exactly what he's doing, able to go 8-2-8 on this champion, blow people up. It was his damage that Robo was like, okay, I got my gore drink, I'm ready to try and heal through this. Oh my god, my health bar. Started off by Levi, of course, going in there, kind of splitting the team up with the vision. A nice Q3 out of Kiaya, yet again flipping Robo back, and then annihilated. Kati and Slater comboing together there, and then it's just easy chase down for the rest of the team.
Yeah. And Loud are just spending this entire fight running. And Xayah runs pretty good. You see the feather set up here. You see the pullback. They are able to get one, at least slow GAM a little bit here, but GAM are so dominant now in these fights.
Yeah, resetting on the map, got all their items completed. Grab mid lane inhibitor, group up on one of these side lanes. Feels pretty cut and paste for the end of this game now, unless there's a massive stumble around Nexus turrets.
Red Bull Baron power play coming through. Feels more like Red Bull 20 minutes power play. I don't know. That one wasn't great. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We'll workshop it in the break. We'll come back. Everyone, forget you heard that.
Forget you heard that. That
was going to be a
work in
banger
progress material. We'll figure it out.
45 minutes from now.
Figure it out. All right. They cannot commit to the recon because they don't want to risk it, which is the perfect place to be as a support.
Able to walk forward, eat a bunch of abilities, and they're afraid to jump on you. Robo was in the top side there as well, doing a bit of split pushing, finish off his Sterix with that gold that he got. We'll see probably one more desperation play.
One more pullback. Sante again, unaffected by damage. Does get hit by the pullback. That's big. That could be a solid start to the fight. Again, burning through Kiaya, getting lower and lower. Massive shutdown for Loud. They need to pull the trigger. They have to fight. They're not going to get a better opportunity than this. But they can't afford to fumble. Nice cleanse coming through. Robo on the front line. Maybe this is their opportunity. The Victor damage is massive, though. Burning through the entire team. Levi finally going to re-engage. And Slater, it's his time to shine. His time to take over. A single pick, not enough. GAM now breaking their way into the base, bullying towards the Nexus. I don't know if they want to risk it here. Instead, happy to just have two inhibitors and walk away.
For a moment there, it looked so good for Loud. They were melting through the front line of GAM, who were getting a little overzealous to pull back onto Kiaya, but they were not able to land damage onto the actual carries of the composition. And once they step too far forward, they blow them up. Starts out here, a nice chain landed by Robo. Not able to get out to the corner of the box, the furthest distance possible. That gets Kiaya back in there. They blow him up and they go, okay, this is the time. This is absolutely the right play. There's not many times you're going to kill the Cassante for free and have a chase down sequence. But right here, I got to say, Seos misclicks onto Pallet instead of Slater. I'm pretty sure there he was trying to target the Kaisa, ends up dropping his ultimate onto Pallet, and that enables Slater to just charge forward totally unperturbed. And also, like you said, Kati was just dropping damage as Victor does when you're trying to chase forward.
And again, in a world where Loud are able to snowball their lead and you can just one-shot a Victor and he's not going to do that much damage back to you, it's not a massive threat. But when you have to fight into the Victor, the game is so much harder. And in goes the Nocturne. Xayah already feared, waiting over the wall. In goes Slater, just going to look to take him down. The shutdown coming in. The kick is too little, too late. Lands to the slaughter are Loud as GAM tear their way through the team comp once again, making it look effortless. It's a triple. Probably could give him a penta, but they're not even worried about it. Eyes set on the prize, eyes set on the win. They don't have a creep wave, but they have more than enough time to wait for it.
I don't think they need it either. Kiaya should be tanky enough with the rest of the team to just brute force this down. You saw the power of the Anathema's chain there, keeping Route locked up for almost like 3 seconds there. Didn't even get his ultimate off. Well played in there. GAM taking the victory lap.
Tino's out, Tino's down. GAM finding a win. Yep. Reduced tenacity, infinite fear duration, powerful turnaround after a lackluster early game from GAM. Once they got control, they never gave it up. And this is not the same team we saw play against Loud earlier in the tournament. Looking revitalized, and this time when they found